Hey gang, welcome back to the house on Joy Street. If you've never been here before, my name is Keith. I'm a bookbinder, among other things. This is my end of year recap for 2024. If you notice me looking up a lot, it's because I have a monitor above my regular monitor and I'm reading off that because my memory is not all that great. It was mostly a chill year with several scary bits. Mostly I was happy to spend time with friends, both near and far, and that's mostly what people should aim for anyway. It is my greatest joy to spend time with my friends. For notable 2024 events, I turned 23. I turned 63. I had a super painful kidney stone and surgery to remove the same. Then I developed sepsis and survived the same after 6 days in the hospital. That was pretty scary and pretty much set the tone for the rest of the year. Like many of you, I spent way too much time doom scrolling and surfing the web. Something I really ought to stop this year, and I'll go into that later on goals for 2025. I watched about 1 million YouTube videos, and I'll give a shout out to Laura Kampf in LA. I love her work. You really ought to check out her videos. I finally stopped arguing with people online. It's such a waste of time, and you're never going to convince anybody of anything. And a lot of people are on there just for the arguing, which seems stupid and a waste of their time as well. I had yet another pricey root canal, and that was not fun, but it got done. I bought more fabric than I could possibly use in a year. I watched the total eclipse with my friend Steve and his friend Sandy, which I enjoyed very much. It was my first total eclipse. I went to Boulder, Colorado to visit Sandrine, Will, and little Dimmy, and that was great. I endured another disappointing presidential election, but there have been so many of those through the years. Is one more really that bad? We'll see. I sold my books at several small art markets, and that's always fun to meet people who are interested in handmade journals. I spent 4 days without power due to summer storms in June. I bought several large power packs in the case that happens again, and I can be pretty sure it will because this is South Central Indiana. And I began selling designs on TeePublic and Redbubble. And thanks to Angie Gardner for setting me onto that. It's always fun to get a little email from either of those websites telling me that I made a sale. Now for a few thoughts on my business, which is so small that it barely qualifies for the word. That said, I sold a bunch of books this year. How much money did I make? None your business. That's between me and the tax man. Like many of you, I still struggle with imposter syndrome and worry about pricing. Am I asking too much? Am I selling myself too short? I think that will continue indefinitely. Most of my books were sold in person and not online. I still have not figured out online marketing. It's a mystery to me. Etsy seems overstocked with people selling handmade books. Some of them very cheaply. I don't know how they can make any money. My website, which I paid for this year, seems to have been mostly a waste of time. But I like dicking around with that kind of thing, so it wasn't a total waste of money. Now, I read a lot of books this year. Some of the notable ones I've read, or am reading at the moment. One of them is Parisian Lies by Deirdre Bair, and it's Samuel Beckett, Simone de Beauvoir, and me, and it's quite a nice autobiography of her time writing biographies of those two luminaries. Another book I read that I really enjoyed was The Annotated Big Sleep by Raymond Chandler, a book I'd read before, but I really got a lot more out of it this year by reading the annotated version, and that was by Owen Hill, Pamela Jackson, and Anthony Dean Rizzuto, I apologize. In genre fiction, I read 2 books by Grady Hendrix, How to Sell a Haunted House and Horror Store, and I recommend them both highly. He is a very humorous writer in the horror genre. A book I normally wouldn't have read but bought at an antique store was Siren Queen by Ingi Vo, which is a nice fantasy based in Hollywood, and I really liked it, so I recommend it to you. Another piece of genre fiction, I read two books by Emily St. John Mandel. One was Sea of Tranquility, the other one was The Glass Hotel. Both excellent reads. Couldn't ask for more. I bought a little poetry at the thrift shop the other day. Full Woman, Fleshly Apple, Hot Moon. Pablo Neruda is an excellent poet. And I read a lot of poetry this year. But I'm not going to get all that out for you. Neruda is a great poet. Can't recommend him highly enough. A book that I bought on a spur-of-the-moment impulse buy, because it's a beautiful book, is Colorful by Iris Apfel. This is a book that pops on every page. It doesn't really matter which page you open. There's going to be color on it. And I really bought it as a source of inspiration. Ashamed to say I bought it on Amazon rather than my local bookstore. But, you know, these things happen. A book I bought at my local bookstore, Morgenstern's Books in Bloomington, Indiana, was Manifesto by McSweeney's, and it's a compendium of famous manifestos through history. And it's a very beautiful book, which caught my eye immediately. It has manifestos like the Dada Manifesto and the Scum Manifesto by Solanas. Solanas? I'm pretty sure. Valerie Solanas. Anyway, another beautiful book. Lots of color. Holographs of the original manuscripts. Very beautiful. And finally, I was a big fan of the magazine Giant Robot back in the day, so I had to buy their biography, sort of. Giant Robot, 30 Years of Defining Asian American Pop Culture. A lot of great memories in this. Get it while you can. I gave all of my copies of Giant Robot to my friend Steve way back in the day. I kind of wish I still had them, but this is good enough. So, I also read The Sun Also Rises. I reread The Sun Also Rises, which is kind of my favorite novel. A lot of people give me side-eye about liking Hemingway and also Shakespeare, but two of my favorites. So I reread The Sun Also Rises whenever I can't think of anything else I want to read. And also it's a great read at night when I can't get to sleep. So I keep it by my bedside. So as far as 2025 goals go, I want to try to spend less money on healthcare because, boy, I tell you, surgery and hospital stays will really sap you. Enough said about that. I want to spend less time on the web, more time reading, and I know everybody says this. Too much doom scrolling is just bad for your mental health. I want to get more exercise, again, something everybody says. But I'm not getting any younger. I have aches and pains. I have a feeling a lot of them could be alleviated by me just spending more time stretching out and walking. So that's high on my list. As far as bookbinding goes, I want to experiment with more book forms. I have done Bradle binding in the past. I want to pick that up again. I would like to experiment with different designs for book covers. And also maybe get into some leather binding. I want to learn to sew. I have a beautiful old sewing machine that I've used maybe twice since I bought it last year. I have a feeling that it could come in very handy for a lot of projects I'm working on. My marketing strategies have been really weak this year. Like I said, I've sold most of my books in person. The online selling has not been a big success. Etsy is overfilled with people selling the same kind of books I make. So unless I make something more unique, I don't think I'm going to have much luck selling more books. And believe me, there are some beautiful books on Etsy. I want to encourage my creativity more because that's what you ought to do. And I think it would have a big improvement in many aspects of my life. I get a lot of inspiration from the books I read, all of my friends on Instagram who are making beautiful objects. I need to get more into that, maybe set up some kind of inspiration board. So I'll be working on that. I need to cook more food at home instead of eating a lot of processed convenience foods. Everything I eat seems to have a ton of salt in it. It is not good, and it doesn't make me feel good. I want to collect more beautiful books. I mean, books like Manifesto are just gorgeous, and I love them so much. So I'll be working more on that. And as an addendum, I need to get the books out I've already read and spend more time, or already bought, and spend more time with them. Have you seen this Apple book? It's so glorious. As far as YouTube video goes, I'd like to make mine more interesting, spend more time becoming more comfortable on camera. I just find it interesting and something that I normally wouldn't do. So you've got to keep pushing ahead in your life no matter how old you get. And I want to continue developing a community of makers on Instagram and other websites, and possibly in person. It's just a very pleasant thing to have more friends who are into the same things you are. And I just enjoy everyone's work so much. And now a montage of books I made this year. It's not complete, but it's the ones I took pictures of. So enjoy. And everybody, I want you to have a glorious new year and try not to worry too much. And I'll see you later.